Hey friends, I'm here today talking about Trash Grab again, and today's video is a bit different. Normally I'm kind of talking about different aspects of game design while I'm standing in front of maybe a river or a lake or a mountain or something. But today I'm just sitting at my desk and I'm taking a look at my cards and examining the cardstock that I'd like to actually have these printed on. And so these are three cards that are kind of a demonstration of what Trash Grab might look like in the end. So if we take a look right now, all that these are, there's just pieces of paper with a Magic the Gathering card behind them inside of a sleeve. And so obviously when I go to sell this on Kickstarter, I can't exactly just sell Magic cards with pieces of paper. So today we're going to take a look at some other card games and kind of examine what I do and don't like about different card stocks on them. And so the first one up here that we're going to take a look at is actually just a deck of casino playing cards. And these are really great. Trash Grab, I want the cards to be very shuffleable. Casino cards shuffle really well. Um, they're pretty durable. They don't really take dings very easily when you go ahead and slap them on the table. Part of that has to do with the fact that they're just white, so you can't really see the damage anyway. But also, they have this sort of linen structure, which I don't always like for cards because it can kind of make the image look kind of grainy. Obviously, for casino cards, it doesn't matter so much because you already have this very bold sort of printing on there anyway. And then one other thing that a lot of people usually overlook when taking a look at cards is their opacity. And so you can check this if you get your trusty flashlight here and just shine it right through. And from that side, you can't see a whole lot, but maybe if I get this in front of the camera, you can kind of see that this would be a queen from the other side. So not super great, but not the worst either. So if we put these aside, the next game that I'd like to look at is Love Letter. And personally, I think these cards are great. I've played with this particular deck maybe close to 100 times. They show very minimal wear, maybe some edging up here in the corners. And they also have that grainy linen structure, very similar to the casino cards. But Love Letter has very detailed images printed on the cards, and I don't think it really gets blurred out or messed up at all by that grain structure. And then something else that I really like about these cards is, once again, if I do the flashlight test, you're not really seeing anything shine through at all. So really, if I could just duplicate the cardstock for Love Letter, that's probably what I'd print Trash Grab on. Next up, we have something else called listography. This is a game that's more like a party game. You're not really supposed to shuffle these cards so much. You just kind of draw them and place them as you would in Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples. If I go ahead and do the flashlight test on this guy, you can see like right through it. That's not good. And then finally, something else that you can do to take a look at these cards is just rip them right in half, and this will be a good test to see what kind of glue structure there is in these cards. And as you can see, I can't really make out any sort of glue, and so there's no real blue or black line there. So this tells me that this is just one single sheet of paper printed on both sides. And so I'll set this aside. We can take a look later and see what the differences are for other cards. Moving on, we have a different sort of card game. This one is one of my personal favorites. It's called Pocket Paragon. These have very high fidelity images that aren't blurred out just because they don't have this grain structure. But the cards, they're pretty durable, pretty flexible. And then if I do the flashlight test on them, you can't see a whole lot through, maybe a little bit of that blue grain structure. But since I am seeing that blue, that does tell me that there is likely some glue in there as opposed to just being printed on one sheet of paper. And so fortunately, I have this card right here, which is just a advertisement that they use, so I can just go ahead and do that. And I don't know if it comes out too well on the camera, but you can make out that there's kind of two layers somehow laminated together, especially by where this rip had started in here. You can kind of see a front and a back. So I don't know, I can't speak a whole lot about that glue layer, but I can say that this is likely two sheets of paper that have actually been laminated together, which is much better than the lithography we talked about. And then finally, we have Magic the Gathering, the granddaddy of them all. This game, what can you say? Like, the images look great, the font always looks great. These are very clear images. But I do have a few problems with Magic cards. They're not very durable. Just doing that, it dings up the card pretty well. And they do have a good degree of flex, but I feel like these cards in more modern days are designed to be more disposable, so that way Wizards can just sell more packs when these things start getting more damaged. But I do like, hopefully this works, if we rip it just like the other ones. There we go. Very classic telltale sign of a Magic the Gathering card. If you take a look, you can see the actual glue layer. That's the kind of like blue blackish sort of layer in there. And this is two separate pieces of paper that Magic has been printed on. So they do have a high degree of durability there. Something else I forgot to do before I ripped that one up. Fortunately, I have two. This is the old flashlight test. And you can kind of see through this a little bit. And if you're ever taking a look at counterfeit cards for Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, the flashlight test is really good to kind of distinguish that. So, taking a look at some of the cards that I like and their different card stocks, I gotta say, Love Letter is probably the winner if I could duplicate that. So next up, we have some actual cardstock from available printers that I can try to print Trash Grab on. And so we're going to move along and take a look at what those look like.